What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the English Matura with JB podcast. Are you ready to level up your English and master your money at the same time? Today, we're diving into the high-stakes world of finance, a must-know topic for your upcoming exams. We've got two absolute legends in the studio today, Cedric and Chase, who will break down everything you need to crush the Matura. Let's get the ball rolling. Cedric and Chase, take it away.
Imagine you've been working all summer, maybe mowing lawns or helping out at a local cafe, and you finally have a stack of cash. It feels great, doesn't it? But then you walk past a shop window, see a pair of trainers you love, and suddenly that cash is burning a hole in your pocket. Before you know it, you're completely broke.
That's a classic situation, isn't it? Being broke is one of those terms we use all the time to mean having absolutely no money left. But the real challenge isn't just earning the money. It's understanding where it goes once it leaves your hand. For a lot of people, especially when they're starting their first job, the world of banking feels like this mysterious, invisible wallet. You put money in, it disappears into a digital screen, and you hope for the best.
It's a bit intimidating, to be honest. If you're an English learner, the vocabulary alone can feel like a barrier. You hear words like interest or deposit, and if you don't know exactly what they mean in a financial context, it's easy to feel lost. But understanding these basics is actually the first step toward freedom. It's about moving from just having money to managing money.
Exactly, and that's what we're diving into today. We're going to pull back the curtain on that invisible wallet. We'll look at how a bank account actually functions as a tool for you, rather than just a place where your money sits.
I like that perspective. It's not just a box, it's a tool. And if you learn how to use it, you stop feeling like you're just guessing. You start making decisions.
Precisely. We're going to break down the essential terms you need to navigate a bank. But more importantly, we're going to talk about the mindset of money management. We'll explore why people say they're saving for a rainy day and why pouring money down the drain is the #1 mistake you want to avoid.
It sounds like we're building a survival guide for the real world. So, where do we actually start when someone decides they're ready to move their cash from under the mattress and into the system?
The very first thing you encounter is the account itself. Think of a bank account as your personal reserved space within the bank's digital vault. It's your home base for your finances.
Right, and there are usually two main types people talk about, especially when they're starting out: a checking account and a savings account. In the UK, we often call a checking account a current account. It's designed for everyday use, buying a snack, paying for a bus ticket, or getting your paycheck.
And that's a great distinction. The checking or current account is for money that is constantly moving. It's fluid. On the other hand, a savings account is exactly what it sounds like. It's a place for money you don't plan to touch for a while. The goal here is to let it sit and ideally grow.
And that brings us to the first major action word, the deposit. I remember the first time I went to a bank teller. I had to be very clear that I wanted to make a deposit.
It's a foundational term. To deposit simply means to put money into your account. Whether you're handing over physical cash or your boss is sending your wages electronically, which we call a direct deposit, you are increasing your balance. Your balance, by the way, is just the total amount of money you have in the account at any given moment.
It's like a scoreboard for your money. But there's a trap here, isn't there? If you only think about the balance, you might forget about the opposite of a deposit, the withdrawal.
Exactly. To withdraw is to take money out, and this is where the language of money management really begins. A lot of students think of their account as a bottomless pit until the card gets declined. But managing an account is really about the relationship between those two words, deposits and withdrawals.
I've noticed that banks often use the word transaction to describe either of those actions. It's a very formal sounding word for something quite simple.
It is. A transaction is just any instance of money moving in or out. If you buy a coffee, that's a transaction. If your grandma sends you £20 for your birthday, that's a transaction. When you look at your bank statement, which is the monthly report the bank gives you, you're basically looking at a history of all those transactions.
So if I'm looking at my statement and I see more withdrawals than deposits, I'm probably heading toward being broke pretty fast.
You've hit the nail on the head. The statement is your reality check. It tells the story of your habits. If you see 20 small withdrawals for fast food, that tells you a lot more about your spending than just looking at the final balance. It's about seeing the patterns before they become problems.
Now, there's one term that always sounds a bit like magic when people first hear it, and that's interest. If I put my money in a savings account, the bank actually pays me.
It does feel like a bit of a reward, doesn't it? Interest is essentially the price of money. When you deposit money into a savings account, you're technically letting the bank use that money for a while. In exchange, they pay you a small percentage of your balance as a thank you. That's interest earned.
I think it's important to clarify that this is different from interest on a loan. That's the version where you have to pay the bank extra for borrowing their money. But for a high school student starting a savings account, we're talking about the good kind of interest.
Right, we're focusing on interest-bearing accounts. Even if the percentage is small, say 1% or 2% a year, it's money you didn't have to work for. It's your money working for you. This is why financial advisors always tell people to start early.
It's about the annual percentage yield, or APY, which is just a fancy way of saying how much you'll earn in a year. But let's be realistic. If you have $100 in there, you're not going to become a millionaire overnight from interest.
Definitely not. But here's the lesson for a language learner and a future money manager. Interest is about incentive. The bank wants you to keep your money there, so they give you this incentive. If you understand interest, you understand the value of time.
I like that. Time is an ingredient in wealth. But there's a flip side to this free money idea. Many accounts have fees. If you don't maintain a minimum balance, which is the lowest amount of money you're allowed to have in the account, the bank might actually charge you.
That's a huge pitfall. Imagine you have $10 in your account, but the bank has a monthly maintenance fee of $12. Suddenly, you owe the bank money just for having an account. That's a quick way to go from saving to broke without even buying anything.
So the interest is the reward for being a good saver, but the fees are the penalty for not paying attention to the rules of the account. It's a balance, literally and figuratively.
It really is. And for a student, the goal should be to find a no-fee student account. These are designed specifically for people who are just starting out and might not have a lot of money to keep in the account at all times. It allows you to practice making deposits and withdrawals without the fear of being penalized.
It's like having training wheels on a bike. You get to learn the language and the mechanics of the transaction and the statement without the risk of losing your hard-earned cash to a bank fee.
Let's talk about one of those idioms you mentioned earlier, pouring money down the drain. It's such a vivid image, isn't it? You can almost hear the water rushing away.
It's a painful image if you think about it. If you literally poured coins down a sink, people would think you were mad. But we do the digital version of that all the time.
We really do. Pouring money down the drain refers to spending money on things that provide no value or paying for things you don't use. For a high schooler, this often looks like hidden subscriptions. Maybe you signed up for a free trial of a music service or a game, forgot to cancel it, and now every month $15 just disappears.
That's a classic example. Another one is convenience spending. Buying a bottle of water at the shop every day for £3 instead of carrying a reusable one. It feels small in the moment, but over a month, that's £90. That is definitely money going down the drain.
The key to avoiding this is tracking. You can't stop the leak if you don't know where the hole is. This is where your bank statement becomes your best friend. I always tell people to do a subscription audit once a month. Look at every single withdrawal and ask, did I actually use this? Did this bring me joy or value?
It's a very practical move. If you find a charge you don't recognize or something you don't want anymore, you have to cancel it. That's a power move in money management.
It also ties into the concept of opportunity cost. Every pound you pour down the drain is a pound you can't put towards something you actually care about, like that trip with friends or a new laptop.
I think many students struggle with this because digital money doesn't feel real. When you tap your phone or your card, you don't feel the weight of the cash leaving your hand. It's too easy.
That's a psychological trap. One way to fix this is to set up alerts on your banking app. Every time a transaction happens, your phone buzzes. It forces you to acknowledge that money has left the building. It turns the invisible wallet back into a real one.
So, the first drill for anyone listening would be to check your transaction history for the last 30 days. Identify one thing that feels like pouring money down the drain and cut it. It's the fastest way to give yourself a raise.
Now, let's pivot to a much more positive idiom, saving for a rainy day.
I love this one because it's so British. We have a lot of rainy days, but in financial terms, the rainy day isn't about the weather. It's about the unexpected problems life throws at you.
Exactly. A rainy day could be your bike getting a flat tire, your phone screen cracking, or realizing you need a new textbook that wasn't in the budget. It's an emergency.
And if you haven't been saving, a rainy day can leave you broke and stressed. But if you have a rainy day fund, which is just a specific amount of money set aside in your savings account, it's not a disaster. It's just an inconvenience.
That's the psychological shift. Having that money turns a crisis into a chore. For a high school student, a good rainy day goal might be something small, like 50 or 100 pounds. It doesn't have to be thousands.
How do you actually build that, though? If you're already feeling like money is tight, saving feels like a luxury you can't afford.
Here's the framework. Pay yourself first. Most people wait until the end of the month, see what's left, and try to save that. But usually, by the end of the month, there's nothing left.
Right, because you've already spent it on all those transactions we talked about.
Exactly. Paying yourself first means that as soon as you get your paycheck or your allowance, you immediately move a small amount, even if it's just £5, into your savings account. You treat that saving like a bill you have to pay.
I see. You're making a deposit into your future self's account before you have a chance to pour it down the drain.
You got it. And this is where that automatic transfer tool comes in handy. Most banks let you set a rule. Every time I get a deposit, move 10% to savings. You don't even have to think about it. It happens in the background.
It's about building a buffer. That's a great word for this. A buffer is something that cushions the blow. A rainy day fund is a financial buffer. It gives you peace of mind, which is arguably more valuable than the money itself.
It really is. When you aren't constantly worried about being broke if one thing goes wrong, you can focus on your studies or your hobbies. You're in control of the money. The money isn't in control of you.
I think it would be really helpful to actually hear how these words sound in a real conversation. Let's imagine a scenario where I'm going into a bank to handle some of these things we've discussed.
Great idea. I'll be the bank teller and you be the student. Let's see if we can use these terms naturally.
Okay. Hello. I'd like to open a student account, please. I have some cash from my summer job I want to put away.
Certainly. We have a great no-fee checking account for students. To get started, you'll need to make an initial deposit of at least £20. Do you have that with you today?
Yes, I have £50 here. I also want to make sure I'm earning some interest. Should I put some of this into a savings account instead?
That's a smart move. Our savings accounts currently offer 1.5% interest. You can keep your daily spending money in the checking account and move your rainy day money into savings. Would you like to split your deposit?
Yes, let's put 30 in checking and 20 in savings. Also, are there any fees if my balance gets too low?
Since it's a student account, there's no minimum balance requirement and no monthly maintenance fees. You'll receive a monthly statement via our app so you can track all your transactions. Would you like to set up a direct deposit for your paychecks as well?
That would be perfect. I want to make sure I'm paying myself first. How do I withdraw money if I need it?
You'll get a debit card in the mail. You can use it at any ATM to make a withdrawal or use it directly at shops. Just remember to keep an eye on your balance so you don't end up broke before the end of the month.
Thanks for the help. It feels good to finally have a plan for this cash.
See? When you use the words in context, they lose their scary technical feeling. They just become tools for communication.
It's interesting how checking, savings, deposit, and interest all work together to create a system. It's not just random words, it's a workflow.
And the more you use that workflow, the more natural it becomes. It's just like learning any other part of a language. You start with the basic nouns, the account, the cash, and move to the verbs, deposit, withdraw, save. We've used the word broke a few times now, but let's really look at what that means and the common mistakes that lead there. It's more than just having zero in your pocket.
Right. In a banking context, being broke can sometimes lead to something called an overdraft. That's a word we haven't touched on yet, but it's a big one.
It's a huge one. An overdraft happens when you try to withdraw more money than you actually have in your account. Let's say you have £5 left, but you try to buy a pizza for £10. If your bank allows the transaction to go through, you now have a negative balance.
And the bank isn't doing that for free.
Not at all. They will charge you an overdraft fee, which can be £30 or more for a single mistake. Suddenly, that £5 difference has turned into a £35 debt. This is the ultimate way of pouring money down the drain.
It's a trap that catches a lot of people off guard. They think, oh, the card worked, so I must have money. But the card working doesn't mean you're not broke. It just means the bank is letting you borrow money at a very high cost.
This is why monitoring your balance is the most important habit you can develop. In the old days, you had to go to the bank or wait for a paper statement. Today, you have the balance in your pocket on your phone. There's really no excuse for an accidental overdraft.
Another pitfall is emotional spending. This is when you're feeling stressed or bored and you go shopping to feel better. You're not spending because you need something. You're spending because of a feeling.
That's a fast track to being broke. A good drill to avoid this is the 24-hour rule. If you see something you want to buy that isn't a necessity, you have to wait 24 hours before you click buy or hand over the cash. Usually, by the next day, the need has disappeared.
It's about creating a gap between the impulse and the action. That gap is where your money management lives.
And if you do find yourself broke, and let's be honest, it happens to almost everyone at some point, the key is not to panic. You look at your statement, you identify the drains, and you make a plan for the next deposit. It's a cycle. You can always start the cycle again.
I think that's an encouraging thought. Being broke is a temporary state, not a permanent identity. If you have the language and the tools, you can navigate your way out of it.
We've covered a lot of ground today. Let's turn this into a practical playbook, a series of steps you can take right now to master your money and your English vocabulary.
I love a checklist. Step 1 has to be opening the right account. If you don't have one yet, look for a student account or a no-fee account.
Step 2, the first deposit. Even if it's just £10, get that money into the account. This starts your balance and makes the whole thing real. While you're there, ask the teller about the interest rate. Even if it's low, it's good practice to ask.
Step 3. Set up your digital tools. Download the bank's app. Turn on notifications or alerts for every transaction. This turns the invisible wallet into a visible one.
Step 4. Identify the drain. Look at your spending from the last month. Find one thing that is pouring money down the drain, a subscription you don't use, or a daily habit you can cut back on, and cancel it.
Step 5. Start the rainy day fund. Set up an automatic transfer, even if it's just £2 a week. Move it from your checking or current account into your savings. Remember, pay yourself first.
And finally, step 6. Learn the idioms in context. Try using the phrases we've talked about today. Tell a friend, I'm saving for a rainy day, or I need to stop pouring money down the drain. Using the language makes it part of your natural vocabulary.
It's a solid plan. It takes something that feels huge and scary, finance, and breaks it down into small, manageable transactions.
That's the secret. Money management isn't about being a math genius. It's about habits and vocabulary. If you can name it, you can control it.
And for an EFL student, this is double the benefit. You're gaining a life skill and a language skill at the same time. You're becoming fluent in more ways than one.
Precisely. These aren't just words for a test. These are words for your life. The next time you walk into a bank, you won't just be a customer. You'll be someone who understands the system.
As we bring this to a close, I'm struck by how much of money management is actually just about awareness. It's about being aware of the words on your statement, the balance in your account, and the drains in your daily life.
It really is. We started by talking about the invisible wallet, and I hope that by now that wallet feels a lot more visible to you. Whether you're talking about a deposit, interest, or saving for a rainy day, you're using language to build a more secure future.
It's empowering. You don't have to be broke to start learning this. In fact, the best time to learn the language of money is when you don't have much of it. The stakes are lower, and the habits you build now will serve you for decades.
That's a great point. The interest you earn on your knowledge is often much higher than the interest you earn on your cash.
I like that. Knowledge interest. It compounds over time, just like money in a savings account.
So, as a final thought for you to reflect on, what is one rainy day goal you want to save for? It doesn't have to be big, just something that would make you feel more secure if you had the money set aside today.
Think about that, and maybe take one of the steps from our playbook this week. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of banking and language. It's been a pleasure exploring these concepts with you.
Absolutely. It's all about taking that first step, making that first deposit, and staying curious. Good luck with your savings and your English studies. Take care.